What I'm doing right now, my shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still counting paper. This ain't a pump and dump, baby.
Rick Ross knew perfectly damn well what he was doing and what that would lead to.
Currently, Rick Ross is living in a world of smoke and mirrors. You won't believe the mayhem he caused because, out of the blue, he made a move so cunning and deceptive that it has the whole hip-hop community buzzing like a beehive. Big Meech was the target of the kick. Yes, that Big Meech, the legendary member of the BMF. But there's more to this than a simple falling out, according to the streets. This goes above and beyond.
I'll buy your masters. You ready? I will buy your masters.
Or Ross reportedly did more than merely finesse Meech. There are rumors that Meech placed a hit out on him because he reportedly did him so wrong and dirty. Reflect on that for a moment. They're losing it on the internet and lashing out. As if it were the season finale of the most bizarre reality show ever created. Memes are going viral, takes are intense, and everyone is riveted to their screens. However, before we delve too far into the purported contracts and street beef, let's take a moment to look back. When Meech began playing around with a former correctional officer, what on earth did he anticipate? It's time to go all the way down this rabbit hole of drama, betrayal, and outright disrespect.
How do you feel about the rapper Rick Ross having the same name?
Well, the fact that he stole my name, not that we had the same name, he actually stole my whole story, my identity, the whole thing. You know, he built his career off of my legacy.
Here is the configuration. For months, 50 Cent, also known as Mr. Get Rich or Die Trying, has been disparaging Big Meech and Lil Meech on social media. It all comes down to Rick Ross putting 50 under the bus. It's not simply subtle jabs. There is complete eclipse-level darkness. The section that actually caused everyone to pause and gaze, however, was when, upon his release from prison, Big Meech instantly clung to Rick Ross as if he were a long-lost brother or something, rather than being honest with the man who truly held him down and gave his son a shot. Rather than honoring 50, who established an empire and made Lil Meech famous, Meech chose to ride with Ross, the same man who has been embroiled in a long-running feud with 50. Now 50 wasn't expecting Meech to declare war on Ross just for him. But come on, posing for photos with Rose, while pretending that Ross has always been on his side, must have felt like a slap in the face for someone like 50, who prides himself on loyalty and being honest. It must have felt good to watch Meech steal the show from Ross. Like an entirely new kind of betrayal. As if the betrayal couldn't get much more calculated, Meech takes that knife and twists it. He then teams up with Floyd Mayweather, and Lil Meech walks around as if he has something to prove to everyone, seemingly forgetting who first gave him his start. 50 Cent, meanwhile, is out here preaching about true loyalty, true power, and true business. Would you say that to the man who gave your son a $5 million boost and a full career?
I feel bad for Lil Meech. I don't feel bad for no grown man on this planet. Like, I'm a grown man. Why the f I gotta feel bad for another grown man? Like, you a grown man too, nigga. You asking for my sympathy for it, nigga. You be alright. Oh, yeah, nigga.
Those who are quick to point out that 50 made a lot off of Big Meech's moniker may have done so, but at least he created a respectable business out of it. He established the BMF series, provided Lil Meech with a platform, and left a legacy. Rick Ross, on the other hand, played Big Meech as though he were a pawn on a distorted chessboard. Ross was aware that this was a scenario that was about to blow up into a huge drama, but instead of attempting to defuse it, he leaned directly into the flames and fought for the limelight, and inflated his ego like a seasoned expert. Then when the drama became too intense to bear, Ross committed the ultimate disappearing act. Just as everyone was beginning to understand what was going on, he was out here discussing a shoulder issue. An injury to the shoulder? That's the escape strategy, really. In the hopes that people would purchase the act, he naturally made sure the entire internet was aware of it by sharing images of victims. This is where it becomes even more twisted, though. Not only was that injury a weak pretext to avoid the Meech's circumstances, Ross was, in fact, using that alleged injury as a cover for something far more serious and messy. He reportedly defrauded admirers of his boss, Token Cryptocurrency, and he would rather not confront them again. Token of the boss. Recall that he was labeled by the internet, which pulled him through the mud. The reason for this is because Rug Ross completely betrayed those who trusted him with their hard-earned money. Let's just say that he fell hard when he did.
Burn it all down. If you piss him off. His own sometimes too. You know, he'll cancel BMF to prove a point. Regardless of how much money he makes.
You also can't overlook the time. Rick Ross ostensibly appears with a broken shoulder just days after he was caught for allegedly lying to Big Meech. Hurry, that timing is just too ideal. It shouts escape strategy rather than accident. And rumors in the business claim that Ross was the one who urged Meech to approach 50 Cent for additional money. Think about how reckless that was of Ross, the person who is causing trouble and making money off of the drama. Supposed man who whispered poison in Meech's ear. You can't really make this stuff up. Meech is sitting on empty now, with nothing tangible to show for any of this chaos. This is precisely why other artists are avoiding him, as if he's carrying some sort of bad luck or negative energy. And don't forget those Wingstop franchises that everyone thought Meech was going to cash in on. It turns out that Rick Ross sold off the majority of them in secret. Yes, he may have maintained 2 locations, just enough to generate income. Sneaky isn't even close to covering the inside scoop on his real estate transactions. As a matter of fact, Big Meech might have had a genuine chance at a comeback had Ross not intervened and confused the waters. Rather, he simply continued to make poor decisions. And Lil Meech was out there spending millions of dollars on chrome hearts pants and trying to look like he was in Gunna's tax bracket. Now everything they helped establish with 50 Cent has vanished in an instant.
Bad guy out of all of this.
Who's the bad guy? I don't think there's a bad guy.
No, yes it is. That Vlad, let's talk about it.
I think Meech is the one that made a mistake.
No,
No? You think 50?
no,
Lil Meech.
no.
Who am I forgetting now?
Rick Ross knew perfectly damn well what he was doing and what that would lead to.
Big Meech's supposed friendship with Ross blew up in his face, and the internet community is having a tremendous time making fun of him for it. There has been one particularly loud and distinct voice. Tariq, also known as Michael Rainey Jr., from Power. He didn't sugarcoat anything at all. He stated bluntly that he doesn't feel sorry for either of them because they are both mature adults who ought to have recognized this train disaster coming from a distance. At the same time, he has been lounging in his own little online niche and co-signing everything. Be honest, everyone knows how intense 50 Cent can be when someone betrays him. DJ Vlad has even seen it. They all agreed that 50 is the last person you want to go against because, if he feels deceived, he will burn everything down to make his point. Big Meech isn't the only person Rick Ross has left hanging. Ross's history of questionable behavior goes back a long way. He even betrayed his own squad by leaving them to be jumped in Canada and then returned to claim that he was testing their loyalty. That's not leadership, that's just manipulation. For a long time, Rick Ross has been playing this strategic game, and even WAC 100 has never won. Mince Meat is entering the ring and accusing Ross of being the true antagonist in this entire conflict between 50 and Big Meech. Moreover, Ross was never really into Meech, according to WAC, who claimed to have seen the entire setup coming from day one. He began by inciting him to rebel against 50 by giving him all these lofty delusions about amassing wealth and creating an empire. In actuality, however, it was a meticulously crafted facade of smoke and mirrors. Furthermore, WAC 100 may have been spot on since Rick Ross would have kept Meech if he had truly been interested in helping him get back on his feet. Ross didn't need the publicity or the spotlight, even if everything was done quietly and behind the scenes. He was pretending to be very powerful by claiming to be buying the rights to the BMF series online, but that was all a lie. None of it ever came to pass, and Ross has now abandoned Meech entirely. In no place does he mention Meech's name. The only thing Ross is promoting these days is whatever puts money in his own pocket, and Big Meech is obviously no longer a part of that plan. And now for the bit that's caused everyone to start gasping for air. Rumor has it that Rick Ross was the true cause of Big Meech's welcome home benefit party being called off. But he cleverly shaped the story to ensure that everyone blamed 50 Cent. Why would Ross perform such a simple task? Meech stacking actual bread from a comeback concert was not something Ross wanted him to do. He wanted Meech to remain in his shadow, while he seemed to be the helpful friend who was ostensibly in Meech's corner in front of the cameras. Don't you recall when 50 posted and promptly removed that mysterious saying, "Please stop calling my phone. I had nothing to do with this. I genuinely hope today is pleasant for you. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm more powerful than you realize." By dismissing it as 50 being 50, most individuals avoided taking responsibility. Looking back though, it's beginning to make a lot more sense. Ross rapped "I think I'm Big Meech" on that BNF track, and Big Meech honestly thought he had his back all along. I know it's wild, but this is the storyline twist that has everyone's head spinning. What if Rick Ross had more than a simple admiration for Big Meech? Aspire to be Big Meech authentically. It's commonly known that Ross has built his entire brand on the shoulders of famous street characters, particularly the actual OGs that ran the game before him. This is supported by evidence, not some far-fetched conspiracy idea. Recall that Ross simply copied his rap identity from the real Rick Ross, a prominent figure who was imprisoned at the time of rapper Ross's rise to prominence. When the real Rick Ross was released, he strongly opposed him and sued him for it. That entire legal dispute began in 2005, and by 2010, it had grown into a full-fledged struggle. Ross constructed and people are beginning to really question whether he attempted to use the same tactic with Big Meech after he created a multi-million-dollar company under a name that wasn't even his. Let us connect these dots. Initially, he releases that BNF song in which he raps, "I think I'm Big Meech bold." The moment Meech is released from prison, Ross surrounds him like their childhood closest buddies, pretending to be there to help him get back on his feet. However, when it came time to truly show up and work hard to help Meech recover, Rick Ross abandoned him and disappeared. And surprise! This isn't a singular occurrence. This is a trend. He did the same thing with Larry Hoover in 2021. Ross has an unmistakable habit of incorporating real-life figures into his songs and mentioning them frequently to increase his street cred while they are imprisoned and unable to defend themselves or profit from their names. There are also rumors circulating that he paid the gangster disciples millions of dollars to keep Hoover's name in his songs without facing any serious consequences. That isn't a tribute. Rather, it's a deliberate attempt to gain influence, and Ross has made it into a very successful commercial strategy. However, when Rick Ross's turn came to speak up for Larry Hoover's cause, demonstrate genuine affection, and fight hard to assist him in getting out of jail, he abruptly stopped participating in the movement. Ross was simply called out for using Hoover's legacy and his music while providing nothing material in return, rather than making a genuine attempt to change things. Additionally, Ross was repeatedly criticized on social media for his obvious hypocrisy. In the Free Larry Hoover benefit event, people still make fun of him, claiming he mishandled the whole thing and was too nervous and evasive to even show his face at the stadium. And now, we're witnessing the same catastrophe play out once more, but with a new figure. At this point, history is really remixing. Therefore, it is understandable why 50 Cent previously declared in public that he has never respected Rick Ross as a person and never will. Furthermore, can you truly hold him responsible? People are turned on by Ross more quickly than a light switch. Furthermore, it's likely that 50 is smiling from ear to ear as they watch this entire situation fall apart without even having to do anything. He has nothing more to prove. As all of this drama erupts and burns spectacularly, 50 is occupied, launching new initiatives, growing his business, and accumulating wealth daily. To keep the lights on, Big Meech and Lil Meech are apparently out here hopping from one star to the next, purportedly requesting handouts. It's complete chaos. The most outrageous and ironic turn of all is this. When 50 was having trouble getting a loan to develop his movie studio, Rick Ross would continuously call him broke and laugh at him. He honestly believed that 50 was down, washed up, and done. Surprisingly, however, that loan was ultimately authorized a few days ago. Indeed, Ross must now observe in person, as 50 transforms your cherished dream into a tangible reality. Ross must watch it all unfold from the sidelines, probably feeling a mix of jealousy and frustration, while 50 is still standing tall, still building, and still appears to be untouchable. Ross was all over social media a few weeks ago, boasting about allegedly purchasing 50 Cent's masters, and many fans believe he is currently reacting to how things have turned out. To be honest, who could blame him? It sounds like a completely ludicrous joke when you think about that now. Big Meech and Lil Meech, meanwhile, appear to have picked up some lessons. Let's be brutally honest though. Attempting to help Big Meech recover from this self-inflicted disaster, or taking Lil Meech back under his wing is probably too late for 50. Indeed, that ship has sailed. One individual who has continuously spoken up and offered excellent commentary during this whole story, Zip with the dripping clock, clocked the truth from day one. He held solid by 50, declaring that he knew Big Meech was being missiled and manipulated. Zip even called it early, anticipating that Rick Ross would dump Meech as soon as the heat began. Should get up as soon as anything even somewhat uncomfortable happened. And lo and behold, we are now witnessing the real-time fulfillment of that very forecast. Now that fans are commenting online, it is widely believed that Big Meech is finished with the game. He lost any chance he might have had to make a significant return. After spending so much time in prison, you would think Meech would have gained greater insight and perhaps a keener sense of what the snakes in the grass are, fake users. However, it almost seems as though he was more naive and trusting than ever before. One admirer had the ideal way to put it, slicing directly through the bone. Let me state clearly. An ex-correctional officer flipped on a man who had just been released from jail. Who didn't see that coming? And then another manipulative person plays a deceptive role. That's karma, that's all. Furthermore, this karma was served hot. Just taken from the oven, no cancellations or delays. However, let's be honest, where do you all stand on this complex web of drama? This subject has many layers. So do you believe that Big Meech is carefully planning his next move to respond to Rick Ross, or is he simply going to let this huge betrayal happen? Chalk it up to a costly lesson in life. Despite being under fire for supposedly abandoning his childhood pal. Unbelievably, this tale is becoming messier and messier every minute. Leave a comment below with your opinions, your wildest speculations, and your hot takes. We want to know what you're thinking. Additionally, don't forget to use the like button if you're feeling truly overwhelmed by the chaos. To ensure you don't miss the next drop, hit the notification bell and subscribe for more. You can also share with someone who needs the tea. See you at the following.